Okay, who's ruled out of this particular game so far as relates to Friday news? According to all of the beat writers and the insiders, Keanu Neal is ruled out due to an elbow and chest situation. He's out, so he's not playing in this particular game. So we will revert back to using that nickel formation, whereas you'll see Jayron Kearse playing that big nickel, and he's been so far playing wonderful in that role. And if you need that strong safety to come down inside and pivot a little bit, you can put Donovan Wilson at that spot, or you can utilize Malik Hooker. Those guys been playing on a good time with the Cowboys so far for the 2021 season. Now, when we think about this, everybody else was a full participant in practice today. Tony Pollard, of course, Tyron Smith, those guys who we've been waiting to see out there, especially Tony Pollard, due to his foot, what have you. He didn't play in the last game. One can argue that the Cowboys were just resting him. And, of course, Ezekiel Elliott, he was a full participant too. And what other roster move that they did was they slid Izzy on the IR to return. Now, he can return if the Cowboys make it to the Super Bowl, right? So, but neither here nor there. We only seen, like, I believe 3 or 4 plays with Izzy this year. So pretty much you can just look at this as a red shirt year for him, and we will see what the Cowboys do down the line. Now, when we think about linebackers in general, of course, we talked all offseason about what Parsons will do, and then, of course, shout out to him for making All-Pro, him and Trevon Diggs on the defensive side of the coin, and shout out to my guy Zack Martin, right? All 3 of those guys, All-Pro. And I think that the punter makes second team All-Pro, however that goes. So that's good stuff. That's good stuff. But we talked about fundamentals, right? Team building. What can you do to help out these guys in the future? Well, before we go to that spot, let's say this right here. Do you guys believe that this is LVE's last year? And all offseason, we was talking about, hey, take a look at Jabril Cox. He will be a guy down the line. And we didn't get a chance to see Jabril this year on a lot of snap counts, right? So it's a big old question mark there. So it is what it is, but facing against the 49ers, of course, you want to stop the run. You want to get guys off the edge and make sure that they control that C gap and make sure they come down and put a hat on a hat. They're going to bring that physicality. My guys, Parsons, Jayron Kearse, Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson, you don't have to question their physicality. Now, if the 49ers decide to run up the gut, you may can get some movement here against Tristan Hill and the lighter package between Osa. Those guys been, pretty much in that middle place as it relates to stopping the run. But my big boys, Carlos Watkins, and excuse me, Neville Gallimore, the Canadian monster, the Gala monster, those boys been doing their job. Solid. And let's not forget about DeMarcus Lawrence. So when we look at practice, of course, it's the day-to-day situation. We hope all is well with number 42, Keanu Neal. It may be the end of the road for him with the Cowboys, And he played his little heart out, right? He was a guy that transitioned from a safety to a linebacker. And, of course, the things that we looked for didn't really see that much for the 2021 season, right? So when we look at everything, Cowboy Nation, I come here to tell you guys right now, this team still got to stay locked, loaded, and focus in. Hey, we got one more day before it get ready for football time for your mind. Those boys just going to have to be ready. So whoever they bring up, Luke Gifford, be ready. Those boys are going to have to be ready, Cowboy Nation. And once again, shout out to Zack Martin, Micah Parsons, as well as Trevon Diggs for making first team All-Pro. And shout out to Bryan Anger for making second team All-Pro. Man, that goes a long way with the it spells the type of season that these guys exemplified. And on top of that, this is Zack Martin's 5th selection to be All-Pro, I believe. And that's a good resume for a Hall of Famer, right? So Zack Martin exemplified that, and I'm quite sure that Trevon Diggs as well as Micah Parsons, this would not be their last time around. And shout out to Bryan Anger. Let him continue to improve and just do his thing, because he's been in the NFL for a minute now, right? So all of those things goes a long way, Cowboy Nation. Look, let's celebrate the things that we are doing good at, right? And pour upon those positive things, and then we will see down the line what this particular team would do on Sunday. Can they elevate themselves to even more or greater, higher heights than what they're doing right now? And I'm quite sure they can. I'm quite sure that the coaching staff is looking at this and saying, hey, you want to make All-Pro next year? Hey, you want to make All-Pro next year? Hey, you want to make the Super Bowl? You know, he may be pointing at the other guys that sit there and looking at the awards and the accolades that's going to them, and they saying, yeah, coach, I'm next. I want to be on that list too. So that's how motivation can go. And those guys listening into their alignment and assignment can take this team a long way, but they just have to be rooted in the sense whereas they think and they know that this thing can happen. Fly out to the ball, run, hit, talk. You know what I'm saying? You do that, J-Rock, continue to let everybody else do that, everything will work its way out. I promise you it will. And let me just talk about this kicker one more time. Hey, changing of the field is not a bad thing. You know, sometimes people fail to realize field positioning is everything. Make them boys, force them boys. If your offense is not going and not getting to where you want it to be, force them boys to start their drive for 80 yards and 90 yards, right? 9 times out of 10, everything would work its way out, and that defense could rally and chase, get that turnover, give it back to the offense. Just like that, field positioning. So let's not sleep on what Anger was able to do for the 2021 season as well. See how these things work, baby? It works in a good way for these boys. So, hey, let's stay locked in. Let's stay focused. And believe it or not, like I said before, 49ers, they're not the greatest team as it relates to their special teams. They're on the bottom half of it. And a little creativity can go a long way. It can. You can force a block punt. You know, you can force a situation whereas they don't know when to down the ball and it's down inside their own too. A lot of things can happen, Cowboy Nation. Just let that sink in. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Go Cowboys. Hey, low-key, didn't Bryan Anger look kind of like Jerry Rice a little bit? Just a little bit.